Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadhvetam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Namahom Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pisthaya Bhutale Shri Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratase Nama He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpataro Viksha Kripa Sindhu Vayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Nama Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna. So, Srila Prabhupada mentioned in first canto of 13th chapter, first verse, about the introduction of Vidurji. And the purport Prabhupada mentioned how he's expansion of incarnation of Yamraji, and once Mandaka Muni cursed Yamraji because of giving unreasonable punishment for his little mistake. In the childhood innocence, he killed an ant, but he was punished about to death by a king. So then, considering his unnecessary punishment, he cursed Yamraji, and then Amraji, he cursed that he become a Shudra, and then Vidurji born as a son of a Shudrani. He was born from Srila Vyasdev in the womb of maid servant of Ambika. So how this life of Vidurji described in Srimad Bhagavatam, Saunakadi Rishi asked Sutta Goswami that you mentioned about Vidurji, that how he left his family and he met Maitreya Muni. Please describe us in the last part of second canto. So to answer this meeting between Maitreya Muni and Vidurji, Sutta Goswami Sukdev Goswami spoke same knowledge which Sukdev Goswami gave to Parikshit Maharaj. Sukdev spoke the same knowledge which Vidurji received from Maitreya Muni. Their samvad. So referring them, Srimad Bhagavatam third canto starts, and there Sukdev Goswami ji describe about Vidurji. So before going to the part of Maitreya Vidur Samvad, first he describe why he left the Kauravas, his home, why he left and went to the forest. So explaining that part, Sukdev Goswami spoke this verse, which I mention as Srila Sukdev Goswami spoke this verse, third canto, first chapter and second verse. He mentioned he mentioned that how the house of Pandavas is like Lord Shri Krishna always visit. So being their minister, and he consider their house like own. Always he stays with the Pandavas and his cousin. So he always favored Pandavas. So Srila Prabhupada took this and gave a very wonderful lesson and asked this question in the purport of this verse, that why then Vidurji leave the home and went into the forest when their house Krishna is always residing? What else he wants in life? Srila Prabhupada mentioned the first line of this purport that anything which satisfies the senses of Supreme Lord, Shri Krishna, is also Shri Krishna. So Prabhupada mentioned like Vrindavan Dham is not different from Vrindavan Dham is not different from Shri Krishna. Why? Because in Vrindavan, Lord is most blissful. Because his devotees, dealings with him in different rasas, give a lot of pleasure to the Lord. No? Similarly, the house of Pandavas, where Lord is residing and such pastimes are happening with his devotees, is like Vrindavan. So what else Vidurji want? Why he left? And then Prabhupada mentioned, before only Prabhupada mentioned what situation happened afterwards. So he mentioned that it's not just the family misunderstanding, but because he considered himself not purified, he wanted to meet Maitreya Muni, he wanted to learn this transcendental knowledge, get purified, and then so to associate Lord. Therefore he went to Shivindavan, he left the home and went to the forest. So we see Srila Prabhupada always also mentioned that our temples are non-different from Vrindavan. They are Vrindavan. Why? Because here devotees are residing, they give a lot of pleasure to the Lord. Always engage in pleasing Shri Radha Rasbihari. Especially Radha Rasbihari is very famous for opulent worship of such nice prasadam, bhoga, such nice beautiful dressing, and very, very beautiful festivals are celebrated here. So when such offerings are done by devotees, the place is become Vrindavan. Then further, Sukadeva Goswami described that how he described about how the Kauravas were trying to vanish Pandavas, how Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana tried to kill Pandavas, even in their childhood and the early age and in later age, how putting them in fire, cheating them in gambling match, putting them going to exile. Even after exile, when they came back, they asked for their portion of the kingdom. They were denied. Then Sukadeva Goswami described that how Lord himself, on the order of request of Arjuna, went as a messenger to pacify the situation. Still, this Kauravas, Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra, they did not agree. So then Sukadeva Goswami decided, because Vidurji was a very favorite of Dhritarashtra, and Dhritarashtra have a lot of faith and always take advice from Vidurji. Prabhupada mentioned one of the purport that Vidurji Niti is very famous. Like in modern age, Chanakya Niti is very famous. Similarly, Vidurji Niti is also very famous. So Vidurji, although very faithful to Dhritarashtra, Prabhupada mentioned one of the purport, but he never accepted the ill advice, desires of Dhritarashtra. When he was consulted by Dhritarashtra in the assembly that what we should do, then immediately Vidurji told, and some of the in the later purports section verses, Vidurji told that see, this Lord Shri Krishna is on the side of Pandavas. These Yadus have conquered many of the kings, and they are their subordinates. They are ruling all such kings, and they are with their side. And Yadu themselves are so powerful. And Lord Shri Krishna, Yadupati, he is himself a friend of Arjuna and their side. So it's not very conducive that we have a fight with them. Rather, we should have a good tie with Pandavas and Yadus. And while advising this, then Vidurji turned his face to Duryodhana, and then he says, about Duryodhan, that how you have kept this poisonous snake at your home. It will destroy a whole your dynasty. Throw him out, remove him from your family. And this verse comes, and Prabhupada gave very important lesson. Yeah, he says in text 13, you are maintaining the offense personified, Duryodhan, as your infallible son. But he is envious of Lord Krishna. And because you are thus maintaining a non-devotee of Krishna, you are devoid of all auspicious qualities. Relieve yourself of this ill fortune as soon as possible, and do good to the whole family. So Prabhupada described in the purport that how the purpose of son is, after the departure of the father, the son do Shraddha, pleasingly offer worship to Lord Vishnu, and deliver his father by such Shraddha. Prabhupada says, if Duryodhana is already now envious of Krishna, what he will do good to you after your death? He himself will fall. So why you are keeping such son with you? So Prabhupada mentioned that very, very important to have a devotee son. Nowadays we see it's people have this misunderstanding. Until a son is went to America and a high-paid job, then he's a useless. Especially in India, people consider my son went to America, my daughter got married, and we have achieved the perfection of we perform all our duties. Such misconception people carry. But here Srila Prabhupada clearly mentioned that the benefit, the son should be the devotee of Lord. Then it is beneficial. Not he is just having gone to America and commits a lot of sinful activities. In one of the purport, first canto 19 chapter, text number 2, in the section of Parikshit Maharaj, when Parikshit Maharaj when Parikshit committed this mistake, and he realized that I have committed mistake of putting dead snake on the neck of Shamik Rishi, then he was feeling very repentant, and he's praying to the Lord, my dear Lord, please give me the punishment now. My next generation, my further generation should not get effect of my mistake. In that purport, 119.2, Srila Prabhupada writes that as the sinful activity of a son of a family member also affects the other family member. Similarly, Prabhupada writes, if a devotee, if a family member is a devotee, then his devotional credit is also given to the, carry forward to the family members. So it's a great service to the parents of a family member that we are here, and by mercy of Srila Prabhupada, trying to become a devotee of Lord. It's a great service, maybe highest service. And we have seen that many of our devotees, as they take up Krishna consciousness and become devotee, very soon their parents also take up Krishna consciousness. Recently, one of our devotees, initiation, his initiation was last 2 years back, and recently his parents also got initiation, and he was just 3-4 years he's just a devotee. He came in touch with devotee. So this is the highest service we can do to our family, being a devotee. Rather, non-devotee committed sin, and what help we can do. When Vidurji spoke about Duryodhana, he became very angry, and he insulted Vidurji like anything. He's a son of a Shudrani, a maid servant. Throw him out. He's a spy in a family. He's at the side of enemy. He's become very angry. Insulted Vidurji like anything. Before Duryodhana and the soldiers do anything, immediately Vidurji understood his mentality, and he kept his bow on the door and left the palace. So Vidurji mentioned in one of the section, the Sukdev Goswami mentioned about the thought of Vidurji in the verse 16. Thus, being pierced by the arrows through the ears and afflicted to the core of his heart, Vidur placed his bow on the door and quit his brother's palace. He was not sorry, for he considered the acts of external energy to the Supreme. Srila Prabhupada mentioned in this purport that how Everybody, every conditioned soul is under the grip of material nature. But he considers he can control, he can lord the material nature. But this material nature, is controlled by Lord. So we all are under control of material nature. But due to ahankar, prakriti krimanini, gune karmani sarvasha, ahankara vimu atma, kartaham iti mannate. Due to ahankar, Prabhupada mentioned in the purport, one think I can lord of the world. Like Duryodhana was thinking, I can control this world. I can become a king by force. So Vidurji could understand that how Prabhupada mentioned that how Duryodhana is acting under the external energy. And also Prabhupada mentioned he understood that how I was held by internal energy, because he had desire that he wanted to practice devotional service. He have a desire to practice devotional service, to associate Lord, to serve him, but that was not happening here. So Srila Prabhupada mentioned very nice purport here with the wonderful lesson that a devotee is always in a renounced temperament, because the worldly attraction can never satisfy him. So Vidurji was in a renounced temperament, always, always ready to give up any post and position, whatever the facilities he has. Vidurji was never attracted by the royal palace of his brother. He was always ready to leave the palace place and devote himself completely to the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Now he got the opportunity by the grace of Duryodhana, and instead of being sorry at strong words of insult, he thanked him from within, because it gave him the chance to live alone in a holy place and fully engage in devotional service life. So I titled as converting misfortune into good fortune. Although it was a misfortune for him, he was thrown out from the palace, but he took it as a great opportunity given by the internal potency, internal energy of the Lord, to to fulfill my desire to serve the Lord. So we see the example of in Srimad Bhagavatam, Narad Muni, young boy, his only shelter was his mother, and the mother died suddenly, and he did not have anything. So, in other cases, somebody maybe become so discouraged and and cry and like that. But Narad Muni took it as an opportunity that we both were dependent on each other, but now this dependence has gone. Now let me depend fully on the Lord. And he went to the north, practiced devotional service. So he took that opportunity. Same we see the example of Parikshit Maharaj. When Parikshit Maharaj was cursed, he did not retaliate. He has the power. He was pure devotee. He can retaliate. He can counter curse. But he did not did. He took it an opportunity to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, to perfect his life. He left the kingdom and went for achieving the perfection of life. Recently, I think last year, Vyas Puja offering, I think last year only, yeah, after departure of His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj, his guest Bhima Purush mentioning that in 1978, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj, due to some reason, was asked to leave as a GVC services in India, and he was posted, decided by GVC, as a GVC of Canada. So Maharaj left the seva, and he went to Canada for the seva, and there he performed. He did start doing his services, a lot of book distribution, Harinam Sankirtan, and the Canada yatra was flourishing like anything. But because of his absence in India, a lot of problems were coming and could not be resolved. So again, GVC felt that we need presence of Maharaj. So at that time, Maharaj did not rebel. Prabhupada make me GVC of India. How can I remove and something like that? Maharaj accepted. GVC order is final. Even we see in the will of Maharaj mentioned, we never go against GVC. Whatever GVC says, it's like they are representative of Srila Prabhupada. And like the Maharaj agreed, and again he was invited and given the responsibility till his last breath. He was serving Srila Prabhupada as the GVC of India. So we can see I forgot the example of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada also, when he was trying to establish his business, so many failures. Wherever he went, Lucknow, Allahabad, Jhansi he did not try, Allahabad, Lucknow, Calcutta, everywhere he got failures. And finally Prabhupada laughed. It's Krishna's mercy. Yasya ham anugrahami harasya tadhanam shane tato adhanam tajanti asya swajana dukhi dukkita. It's a great mercy of Lord. He want to make me leave this material endeavors to earn money or and fully depend on Him. And on the other side, Prabhupada was getting a lot of success in preaching. He was very successfully trying and doing preaching. So he understood that Krishna now want me to leave this and fully dedicate myself to preaching the mission as ordered by my spiritual master. Further, we see that Vidurji left and he went to the forest, left, and there he he traveled many. He left for the Tirth Yatra, many holy places, and he saw many Archa Vigraha form of the Lord. He met many devotees there, visited many dhams, took bath in holy rivers, and he was traveling throughout India and performing pilgrimage. So here in this purport, Prabhupada mentioned in 17th purport why Vidurji left. The reason exactly Prabhupada mentioned why Vidurji left the kingdom. So Vidurji, in his humility, feeling that because I associated with Dhritarashtra and Duryodhan and all involved in all this politics, I am not pure. Although Lord is there in Dwarka or staying in the house of Pandavas, he's personally present. What is the use of going to pilgrimage? But he was not feeling sufficiently purified, Prabhupada mentioned, to associate Lord directly. Prabhupada mentioned he went to the pilgrimage to get purified. And Prabhupada mentioned, Eshanto antagatam papam jananam punya karmam. That when when we are fully purified, then only we can have direct association of the Lord. So the lesson is one can have a direct association of the Lord when one is get purified. Similarly, in Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 6th chapter, Narad Muni section, Narad Muni got first glimpse of the Lord while he was meditating, and Lord gave him darshan. But again he was trying to get the darshan, but Lord finally told, see, you are not purified, your service is not pure, and kashayanam, your services, and you are not sufficiently purified. So now you practice devotional service strictly, and you will see me face to face, after you fully purified. And one of the purport, how one can see Lord face to face or direct association, Prabhupada mentioned in 6th chapter, Bhagavad Gita, 24 verse. So here's Prabhupada is telling this very nice purport. The yoga practitioner should be determined and should patiently prosecute the practice without deviation. One should be sure of success at the end and pursue this course with great perseverance, not becoming discouraged if there is delay in attainment of success. Success is sure for rigid practitioner. Similarly, the practice of yoga, especially Bhakti yoga in Krishna consciousness, may appear to be very difficult job, but if one follows the principles with great determination, the Lord will surely have those for God help those who help themselves. Is visible sufficiently? Better? Yeah. Then Vidurji, travel, and there I took these 4 purposes. Prabhupada mentioned in the purports. 4 purposes of pilgrimage. In short, we'll discuss. To associate with pure devotees. Prabhupada mentioned the purport. One should not be satisfied, however, merely by visiting the place of pilgrimage and perform one's prescribed duties. He should be eager to meet a great soul who are already there, engaged in the service of the Lord. So this is the purpose of going to pilgrimage. It will be complete when we associate with pure devotees and hear from them. Then another purpose is to have darshan of Archamurtis. Prabhupada mentioned, quoting Sri Chaitanya Chandra, Sarvatir Prakashatara Bhakti Sukhadite Jagatera Dharmanashi Dharma Sthapite. The Lord has so distributed himself all over the universe just to give pleasure to the devotees, to give common man facility to eradicate his sin and to establish religious principles in the world. Prabhupada mentioned that how the Lord throughout the world, throughout the universe, he has appeared in different Archamurti forms. So that, because Prabhupada mentioned the purport that we are not purified, we are not sufficiently purified. We don't, because we have material senses which are impure, so we don't have the qualifications to see, Lord in his spiritual form. By his mercy, mercifully he has appeared in this Archa form, which we can render service, we can reciprocate with him, offer service to him, seek his blessing. And Prabhupada mentioned in this purport, 17 and 18, there's the Archa forms are fully potent as the Lord. There is no difference. To the degree we perceive, to the degree we serve the Lord, the Archa form, to a degree they will reciprocate. And we see so many examples in our Shastras and Acharya's life, how they reciprocate with the Lord. Prabhupada mentioned in the purport a very famous example of post box, that how every post box is potent if it is connected to head office. It is potent that he has power that if you put the letter, it will go to the desired destination. Similarly, because the Archamurtis are expansion of Lord, the Lord appear to, so they are similarly potent. And we see the example of many wonderful example of Sakshi Gopal. The Brahmana says, "My Lord, please come for giving Sakshi." The Lord says, "Hey, you don't know, how can a deity walk?" Then Lord says, Brahmana says, "Oh, my Lord, if you can talk, then you can walk also. So please come." So Lord got defeated and he agreed. So Lord went, Gopalji, to Vidyanagar to become a Sakshi. We see the example of Tota Gopinath, how Gadadhar Pandit, become so old, but his desire to serve the Lord so intense that Lord himself, the only deities in the world who are sitting, the Gopinath set to accept service from love from Gadadhar Pandit. And many examples like Lord Jagannath through Ramanacharya, Lord Balaji got blood when he hit by Anantacharya, yeah, and many further examples. And very special Shishi Radha Ras Bihari Ji, that Srila Prabhupada gave vow to Radha Ras Bihari, "If you stay here, my dear Lord, I will build a palace for you." And now we see such beautiful palace, by desire of Srila Prabhupada, and endeavor Srila Prabhupada has appeared here. And also Srila Prabhupada prayed, he went to Australia and he established, he himself carried Gopinath Ji and established there, Pratishtha there. But the devotees are very new, 6 months old only. So see, for your service, Srila Prabhupada prayed, "My dear Lord, for your service I have to travel and preach. Now you train these devotees so that they can serve you." And after 1 year when Prabhupada came, Prabhupada saw the deity worship of very high standard. So how this great acharyas have mentioned by their example. So time is less. Let me in shortly mention some further lessons we can derive from this first time. So the next lesson is, a devotee of the Lord desire all good even for his enemy. So then Vidurji traveled and finally he met Uddhava and he asked Uddhavji many questions about the well-being of Yadus, Pandavas. Then finally he did not ask well-being of Dhritarashtra. Here he asked this question. He was asking many questions to Uddhavji. Then he asked this question to Uddhavji. "Oh gentleman, I simply lament for him." He did not ask how Dhritarashtra is doing. He asked for all others, Pandavas and Yadus. "I simply lament for Dhritarashtra, who rebelled against his brother after the later death. By Dhritarashtra I was driven out of my own house, although I am his sincere well-wisher, because he accepted the line of action adopted by his son." So although Vidurji is telling he threw me out from the home because but still I was his sincere well-wisher. So Vidurji, Prabhupada mentioned that how in the purport that finally at the end, although Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana did so much wrong, but he was always a well-wisher. Although he was thrown out, still he did not become enemy. He did not consider Dhritarashtra as enemy. And Prabhupada mentioned at the last, Vidurji only the one who delivered him from this material world, who finally become his well-wisher. Again, when Vidurji went back to house after the battle had done, and then he enlivened him and asked him to, by his enlightenment, Vidurji further progress in his spiritual life. We see the example of, a very wonderful example comes of Narad Muni tolerating the insult of and curses of Daksha. When he preached to sons of Daksha, first 10,000, then again 1,000, then Daksha becomes very angry and cursed. So Prabhupada mentioned very nice statement. Why Narad Muni stayed back there, although Daksha was so angry? Prabhupada right, Narad Muni should have left immediately, but he purposefully stayed to hear all Daksha's strong words, so that Daksha might be relieved of his anger. Prajapati Daksha was not an ordinary man. He had accumulated the results of many pious activities. Therefore, Narad Muni expected that after delivering his curse, Daksha, satisfied, freed from anger, would repent his misbehavior and thus get a chance to become a Vaishnava and be delivered. So even a devotee, never, there is no envy. A devotee of Lord desire all good, even for his enemy. See, Prabhupada quote the example of Jagai Madai. They hurt Nityanand Prabhu. Still Nityanand Prabhu was, pacifying them and delivered them, asked Lord to be merciful on them. And we see the example of Jesus Christ. Prabhupada mentioned about this verse, Titikshva Karunika Tinadapi Swanichena. So yeah, then further we see important lessons. One lesson we can see of Maryada Vyatikaram. When all this asked, when Uddhavaji about to reply to Vidurji, then he says, see, Maitriji was also present at that time, and he is nearby only. So better you hear from Maitrabani. So Prabhupada nicely mentioned about this important point of Maryada Vyatikaram, that although one may be well versed in transcendental science, one should be careful about the offense of Maryada Vyatikaram, impertinently surpassing a greater personality. So very important to follow the etiquettes. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mentioned, Sanatana Goswami, Yadyapi tumi hoye jagat pavan, tuma sparsha pavitra hai deva manigan, tathapi bhakta swabhav maryada rakshan, maryada palan hai sadhura bhushan. And I am very pleased somebody who follow Maryada. Then Prabhupada mentioned then in one section of Srimad Bhagavata in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So we'll stop here. Time is over. Thank you very much for patiently hearing. I seek blessings. I can apply some of this principles in my life. Hare Krishna. Shila Prabhupada ki jai. Any questions? Anybody has?
Hare Krishna. So Vidurji was very much kind to Dhritarashtra, even though Dhritarashtra, because Duryodhana insulted him, Dhritarashtra did not say, and therefore Vidurji left. You were telling about that a devotee doesn't hate anybody. He is always trying to save him, liberate him, or make him devotee. But we see in the case of devotee, sometimes they show partiality. They only care for those who say yes to them, and they are not concerned about others. So how to deal with such persons?
So see, we are here practicing devotees, trying to become a devotee. Papa says our ISKCON is like a spiritual hospital. So we all are diseased, and good thing is that we have taken we are ready to take the medicine. So that is good part. And very soon the disease will get over. So till the time the tendencies are there, no, I agree with you, Pooji, that no such tendencies are visible, but it takes some time to get purified. So sometime we consider that we are among the pure devotees and everybody should be like coming from Vaikuntha and like acting like a Vaikuntha, but that is not the case. So we should respect everybody, but we should be very careful in associating you know devotees. If we get so much disturbed by such actions, better we stay away and have association of devotees who have proper conduct. Even Srila Prabhupada mentioned that we should respect such devotees who are not properly conducting themselves Vaishnava behavior, but we should be avoid their association. So we are disturbed by seeing such actions. Better avoid association. Other associations available who are better behaving, and continue our devotional service. And surely, because they have taken Krishna consciousness, practicing devotional service, they will very soon get purified and act properly. So we should have this maturity and understanding that we are in a spiritual hospital, and they are all of us are diseased. And our spiritual masters, Srila Prabhupada, they are doctors. They are purified. They don't have any faults, but others have some, you know, carried from the previous life, and it take time. Make sense, Puji? Thank you. Any feedback, Puji?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. It's a very well prepared presentation, and you brought so many lessons from the life of Vidura, and you appropriately quoted so many connecting pastimes from the Bhagavatam and from life of Prabhupada as well as disciples of Prabhupada. Yes,
Some improvement.
I felt that you will also quote some slokas from memory. And overall, you concluded very nicely all the lessons, and one can practice devotional service by the teachings of Vidura's life.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. So Vishwanath Guru, thank you for a well-prepared presentation on this topic, lessons from the life of Vidura. And so you had a good number of lessons as you went through the pastimes, and a good number of points for personal application, how to see reversals and all that. And of course, in that connection, one point which could have been discussed, I think so we discussed it when, I don't know where we had discussed. So anyways, how to transform the influence of external energy into internal energy in that connection of the Durya's. So, but many lessons you covered. Of course, due to lack of time, some of the points were missed. So the sensitivity of Vidura and those points could have been covered. So sometimes we have to reduce, because we have limited time, so we have to decide on where to focus and where not to focus. So some things which may not be so important, we have to go quickly and then try to focus on those things which are more important. You had some good points for Srila Prabhupada's mood and mission, Srila Prabhupada's Yasyam Anugrinami, so those points were good. Preaching application, maybe some points could have been added for preaching application. Some points like you're talking about the deities. So even though the deities these are material. Of course, you give the example of the post box, and so
I could not cover, sorry, Puji, but it was there that Archa are not idle. The question I ask people have understanding of Archa is idle.
right. Yes, so that's a good point for preaching application. So some points like that for preaching application could be added. And as Prabhu mentioned, yes, some quoting some verses could definitely have been done. Otherwise, overall, it was a good, well-prepared presentation, and many important lessons were learned. So thank you very much for this presentation. Let's show appreciation. Hari Bo. Hare Krishna. Any comments?
I'll improve on discriminating how to shorten and memorize more shlokas. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Okay, next.
Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Mano Abhishtan Stapitan Yena Bhutale Swayan Rupa Kadamayan Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeyan Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupan Sagrajata Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Desha Tarine He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosute Taptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Anchakalpatarupesya Krupa Sindhubhaivacha Patitanan Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. We will be discussing from the topic Description of the Kingdom of God from 3rd Canto 15th chapter. I'll be reading the translations only and from the purport some points whichever are most important. Verse 13. After thus traveling all over the universes, they also entered into the spiritual sky, and for they were freed from all material contamination. In the spiritual sky there are planets, spiritual planets known as Vaikunthas, which are the residents of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and His pure devotees, and are worshipped by the residents of the material planets. It's mentioned that the material world is full of miseries, whereas the Vaikunthas are without miseries. And here the four Kumaras are traveling from the material world to the spiritual world, the kingdom of God. And Lord Brahma is describing about them, about the spiritual world. Verse 14. In the Vaikunta planets, all the residents are similar in form to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They all engage in devotional service to the Lord without desire for sense gratification. Because they have a higher taste, they engage in the Lord's service and not in their sense gratification. Param Drishtva Nivardante. Word text 15. In the Vaikunta planets is the spirit supreme personality of Godhead, who is the original person and who can be understood through the Vedic literatures. He is full of the uncontaminated mode of goodness and no place for passion or ignorance. He contributes religious progress for his devotees. It is mentioned that in the spiritual world there is only the mode of goodness. That is, so it's known as pure goodness because it's not contaminated by mode of passion or ignorance. Verse 16. In those Vaikunta planets there are many forests which are very auspicious. In those forests are trees. The trees are like desire trees, and in all seasons they are filled with flowers and fruits because everything in Vaikunta planet is spiritual and personal. Here Prabhupada mentions that how everything has form and that there is nothing void or impersonal. In the Vaikunta planets, what's text 17? In the Vaikunta planets, the inhabitants fly in their airplanes accompanied by their wives and consorts and eternally sing the character of the activities of the Lord, which are always devoid of the all inauspicious qualities. While singing the glories of the Lord, they deride even the presence of the blossoming Madhavi flowers, which are fragrant and laden with honey. That it mentions here that how in the spiritual world everybody has got an airplane, whereas here we travel in a fuel oil based fueled airplane, but in the spiritual world they have planes which fly just by the desire of the devotees, and the devotees travel with their consorts and their wives, and they engage in glorifying the Lord continuously. That is the main good thing. Text 17. In the Vaikunta planets, they never. Okay, that's over. Text 18. When the king of the bees hums in the high pitch, singing the glories of the Lord, there is a temporary lull in the noise of the pigeon, the cuckoo, the crane, the charvak, the swan, the parrot, the partridge, and the peacock. Such transcendental birds stop their own singing simply to hear the glories of the Lord. Here it's mentioned that the buzzing bees are there because everybody is wearing fresh garlands, flower garlands, and because of that, bees are there buzzing, and they are buzzing means they are glorifying the Lord. So, just to hear their glorification, all the other birds stop their own cooing. Text 19. Although flowering plants like Mandara, Kunda, Kurbaka, Utpala, Champaka, Arna, Punaga, Nagakeshara, Bakula, Lily, and Parijat are full of transcendental fragrance, they are still conscious of the austerities performed by Tulsi, for Tulsi is given special preference by the Lord who garlands himself with Tulsi leaves. It is mentioned that here that Tulsi is a very special plant because she has performed austerities for Lord Vishnu, and therefore she is very dear to all the devotees. So all the devotees, all the plants, they give respect to Tulsi. Text 20. The inhabitants of Vaikunta traveled in their airplanes made of lapis, lazuli, emerald, gold. Although crowded by their consorts who have large hips and beautiful smiling faces, they cannot be stimulated to passion by their mirth and beautiful charms. Here it's mentioned that although they have beautiful forms, those consorts and wives, the residents of the spiritual world, they are not attracted by that. So it's mentioned that this absence of sex desire in presence of the higher taste they have in glorifying and serving the Lord. Text 21. The ladies in the Vaikunta planets are as beautiful as the goddess of fortune herself. Such transcendental beautiful ladies, their hands playing with lotuses and their legs bangles tinkling, are sometimes seen sweeping the marble walls which are bedecked at intervals with golden borders in order to receive the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is mentioned that in the spiritual world there is no dust, but still they are brooming the spiritual world, the Lakshmis, just to attract the grace of the Lord. Text 22. The goddess of fortune worships the Lord in her own gardens by offering tulsi leaves on the coral paved banks of the transcendental reservoirs of water. While offering worship to the Lord, they can see on the water the reflection of the beautiful faces with raised noses, and it appears that they have become more beautiful because of the Lord's kissing their faces. It's mentioned here that it's not of any use to the brahmacharis, but still it's mentioned that uh, just by kissing, the face becomes beautiful of the woman. Text 23. It is very much regrettable that unfortunate people do not discuss the descriptions of Vaikuntha plants, but engaged in topics which are unworthy to hear and which bewilder one's intelligence. Those who those who give up the topics of Vaikuntha and take to talks of material world are thrown into the darkest region of ignorance. Here it's mentioned that we should be talking about the glories of the Lord, His pastimes, like that, etc. Text 24. Lord Brahma said, "My dear demigods, the human form of life is of such importance that we also desire to have such life. For in human form one can attain perfect religious truth and knowledge. If one in this human form of life does not understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his abode, it is understood that he is very much affected by the influence of the external nature." So we see how people who are interested in the material world, they are infected by the modes of passion and ignorance. Whereas the devotees who are infected by the mode of pure goodness talk only of the glories of the Lord. And it's mentioned that when one can understand, engage in devotional service, that is the perfection of the human form, which even the demigods are aspiring for. Text 25. Persons whose bodily features change in ecstasy and who breathe heavily and perspire due to hearing the glories of the Lord are promoted to the kingdom of God, even though they do not care for meditation and other austerities. The kingdom of God is above the material universes, and it is desired by Brahma and other demigods. Here it's mentioned that in another place, not here, it's mentioned that how if by chanting the holy names one's heart does not palpitate and tears do not come to his eyes, his heart is steel framed. Text 26. Thus the great sages Sanak, Sanandan and Sanat Kumar, upon reaching the above mentioned Vaikunthas in the spiritual world by the dint of their mystic yoga performance, pursued unprecedented happiness. They found that the spiritual sky was illuminated by highly decorated airplanes piloted by the best devotees of the Vaikunthas and was predominated by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is mentioned that here the opulences of the spiritual world are there. They are the gift of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And not by one's endeavor or economic development one can get these natural opulences which one has in the spiritual world. Text 27. After passing through the 6 entrances of the Vaikuntha Puri, the Lord's residence, without feeling astonishment at all the decorations they saw at the 7th gate 2 shining beings of the same age, armed with maces and adorned with most valuable jewelry, earrings, diamonds, helmets, garments, etc. Here it's mentioned that the 2 persons who were at the 7th gate, they were of the same age, because in the Vaikuntha everybody is youthful, nobody gets old age. That's why you cannot make out who is of what age in the Vaikuntha. That's why it's mentioned of the same age. And secondly, the decorations are there because they were eager to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They did not pay any heed to all the decorations which were there on the first 6 gates. And another thing is mentioned is that the residents of the Vaikuntha planet, they also have Shankha, Chakra, Gada and Padma, and like Vishnu or Narayan. Text 28. The 2 doormen were garlanded with fresh flowers which attracted intoxicated bees, which were placed around their necks between their 4 blue arms. From their arched eyebrows, discontented nostrils, and reddish eyes, they appeared somewhat agitated. It's mentioned here that they had fresh garlands. The garlands not only are fresh, but they stay fresh throughout the time. That is the uh, uniqueness of Vaikuntha. Text 29. The great sages headed by Sanak had opened doors everywhere. They had no idea of ours and theirs. With open minds, they entered the seventh door out of their own will, just as they had passed to the six other doors, which were made of gold and diamonds. It is mentioned here that the four Kumaras were like child form. They were still in, and children are not forbidden anywhere. They can enter to any place, and nobody will forbid them. But if the children are stopped, they become angry. It's mentioned. That is the nature of children. So that is the nature of shown by the four Kumaras also. The four boys sages who had nothing to cover their bodies but the atmosphere looked like 5-year-old, even though they were the oldest of all living creatures and had realized the truth of the self. But when the porters who who happened to possess a disposition of quite unpalatable to the Lord, saw the sages, they blocked their way with their staffs, despising their glories, although the sages did not deserve such treatment at their hands. It's mentioned here that they are the oldest person because they were the firstborn sons of Brahma, and even Lord Shiva and all were born later. So they are the oldest personalities. The text 31. When Kumaras, although by far the fittest person, were thus forbidden entrance by the two chief doorkeepers of Srihari, while other divinities looked on, their eyes suddenly turned red because of anger due to their great eagerness to see their most beloved master Srihari, the personality of Godhead. Here it's mentioned that although they were perfect, they had achieved perfect spiritual perfection, still they became angry. So it's a myth that when a perfected or a liberated soul does not become angry. Because he has also emotions. When their service is restricted to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they become angry.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, so now you're entering into this pastime of Jay and Vijay and the fourth.
So I'll skip it.
Because your topic is description of kingdom of God.
In the Vaikuntha world, text 33, in the Vaikuntha world there is complete harmony between the residents and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, just as there is complete harmony between space, between big and small skies. When there is seed of fear in the field of harmony, these two persons are dressed like inhabitants of a room. So where from can disharmony come into this? It is mentioned here that in the spiritual world, everyone is in harmony with the desire of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And as soon as there is disharmony, they are transferred to the material world. Then text 37, at that very moment when they were cursed, when the true Kumaras were cursed, the Lord, who is called Padmanabh because of his lotus grown from his navel and who is the delight of the righteousness, learned about the insult offered by his own servants to the saints. Accompanied by his spouse, the goddess of fortune, he went to the spot on the very feet sought by the recluses and the great sages. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord declares that his devotees will not be vanquished by any time or anything. And so the Lord, to stop the vanquishment of his devotees, immediately left his place and came at the place of the quarrel. The sages headed by Sanak Rishi saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu, who was formerly visible only within the hearts of the ecstatic trance, has now actually become visible to their eyes. As he came forward accompanied by his own associates bearing all paraphernalia such as umbrella and chamber fan, white bunches of his hair moved very gently like two swans, and due to their favorable breezes the pearls garlanding the umbrellas also moved like drops of nectar falling from the white full moon or ice melting due to a gust of wind. The Lord, text 39, the The Lord is the reservoir of all pleasures. His auspicious presence is meant for everyone's benediction, and his affectionate smiling and glancing touches the core of the heart. The Lord's beautiful bodily color is blackish, and his broad chest is the resting place of the goddess of fortune, whose glory is the entire spiritual world, the summit of all heavenly planets. Thus, it appeared that the Lord was personally spreading the beauty and good fortune of the spiritual world. Text 40. He was adorned with a girdle that shone brightly on the yellow cloth, covering his large hips, and he wore a garland of fresh flowers which was distinguished by humming bees. His lovely wrists were graced with bracelets, and he rested one of his hand on the shoulder of Garuda, his carrier, and twirled a lotus with another hand. Text 41. His countenance was distinguished by cheeks that enhanced the beauty of his alligator-shaped pendants, which outshone lightning. His nose was prominent, and his head was covered with a gem-studded crown. A charming necklace hung between his stout arms, and his neck adorned with the gem known as name of Kaustuba. So that is the only difference. Kaustuba, only the Lord wears, and all the other devotees, they do not wear Kaustuba jewel. Text 42. The exquisite beauty of Narayan, being many times magnified by the intelligence of his devotees, was so attractive that it defeated the pride of the goddess of fortune in being the most beautiful. My dear demigods, the Lord who manifested himself is worshipable by me, my Lord Shiva, and by all of you. The sages regarded him and with unsatiated eyes, and joyously bowed down their heads at his lotus feet. Now after this there is, when the breeze carrying the aroma of tulsi leaves from the toes of the lotus feet, text 43, toes of the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead entered the nostrils of those sages, they experienced a change of both body and mind, even though they were attached to the impersonal Brahma understanding. The Lord's beautiful face, text 44, the Lord's beautiful face appeared to them just like the inside of a blue lotus, and the Lord's smile appeared to be a blossoming jasmine flower. After seeing the face of the Lord, the sages were fully satisfied, and when they wanted to see him further, they looked upon the nails of his lotus feet, which resembled rubies. Thus they viewed the Lord's transcendental body again and again. So they finally achieved meditation on the Lord's personal feature. Here it is mentioned that the Lord is personal, is not impersonal or Paramatma feature. And also it's mentioned that the impersonalist and the yogis also who meditate on the Paramatma, they are never satisfied. They want to see more and more. But when you see the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, you become satisfied. It is mentioned.
Prabhu, I think so. Now the pastime begins, right?
Yeah. Now the prayers of Maharaj.
Yeah, that's right. So then it goes into.
So I'll end here.
Yeah, I think so. You should.
So thank you very much. If anybody has any questions or comments.
Questions? No, he didn't speak about chanting, right? He is talking about. Feedback? Okay, so Rajmal Prabhu, it was nice. It was nice hearing the translations and a few important sentences of Srila Prabhupada's purport. So definitely a purifying experience. So at the same time, and you had a few points for personal application and preaching application. But it would be nice if there would be more points you could explain for our personal application, Srila Prabhupada's mode and mission. So all those points could have been more elaborately covered. We appreciate your endeavors to come up with this presentation. Thank you very much. Let's show appreciation to Brajmanal Prabhu. Haribo. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Next.
Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Desatarine. Vancha Kalpataru Vriksha Kripa Sindhuva Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So you're giving a Bhagavatam class, right?
Yes, Prabhu.
What is your verse?
This is 1842.
Okay.
Tvai me ananya
Okay,
vish.
fine. So now the system is that you recite the verse line by line, like we do in a Bhagavatam class. Everyone will recite after you. So you do that once, then you read the translation, and then I don't know how long is the purport. If it's too long, you read one paragraph. If it's short, then you read the entire purport, and then your time begins.
Okay.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Maybe I can project this. One 842. The prayers by Queen Kunti. So, Tvai me anannaya vishaya Matir madhupate sakrat Ratim udvahata dadaha Gange vogam udanvati. So, word to word meaning? Okay. Translation. O Lord of Madhu, as the Ganges forever flows to the sea without hindrance, let my attraction be constantly drawn onto you without being diverted to anyone else. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Perfection of pure devotional service is attained when all attention is diverted towards the transcendental loving service of the Lord. To cut off the tie of all other affections does not mean complete negation of the finer elements like affection for someone else. This is not possible. A living being, however, whoever he may be, must have this feeling of affection for others because this is symptom of life. The symptom of life such as desire, anger, hankerings, feelings of attraction, etc. cannot be annihilated. Only the objective has to be changed. Desire cannot be negated, but in devotional service the desire is changed only for the service of the Lord in place of desires for sense gratification. The so-called affection for family, society, country, etc. consists of different phases of sense gratification. When this desire is changed for the satisfaction of the Lord, it is called devotional service. So the purport actually continues. So we'll read till here. So this is it's like towards the end of Kunti's prayers. So the context of this is that after the Kurukshetra war was over, Lord Krishna, he was departing to Hastinapur. From Hastinapur, he was going to Dwarka. So at that time, Mother Kunti is imploring Krishna, she is praying to Krishna to remain at Hastinapur. So she is offering prayers because her intention was that she wanted to protect her sons. As we see the previous verses, the way she is praying, she is expressing to Krishna that she wants to protect the Pandavas. You be here, please protect the Pandavas. Like that, she is praying. But she was also conflicted because she also wanted to protect the other family, her family, the Vrishnis in Dwarka. So she is wishing for their protection also to Krishna. So in that mood, she is offering these prayers. Just like the previous prayer, if we see, she is praying that Atha Vishvesha Vishvatman Vishwamurte Swakeshu Me Steha Pasham Imam Chindi Dridam Pandeshu Vrishnishu. So when she is praying like that, so finally she comes to this conclusion that what am I praying exactly to Krishna? So then she kind of offer this prayer saying that Sneha Pasham Imam Chindi Dridam Pandushu Vrishnishu, that let my tie of affection for the Pandavas and Vrishnis be cut off. Like that she is praying to Krishna, because she is saying that, O Lord, the Master and the Soul of Universe, please sever my tie of affection for my relatives, the Pandavas and the Vrishnis. O Madhupati, as the river Ganges, as we are seeing this shloka, naturally flows towards the sea, let my mind be constantly attracted to you, without being distracted by anything else. So this is a very interesting verse, because she is saying that my mati, that my mind, let it be ananya vishaya, it be free from all the other vishaya, and it will be only fixed on you. Asakrat udvahatat, repeatedly carry the affection for you, ratim, to you, tvai. So just like, so she is giving example, just like the Ganges river flows, it flows towards the ocean. Same way, my mati, let it flow towards the ocean. So Prabhupada writes a very beautiful purport here. He explains that what exactly Mother Kunti is praying in this particular prayer. Apparently it looks like, if we see the previous verse, it looks like somebody wanting to get away from something. So it may be asked that, is Mother Kunti praying for Brahman realization? She is praying for, because she is asking for cutting the affections for the Yadavas, and like that, just like the Buddhist or the Mayavadis, they cut off, they negate things. Is she praying like that? So she is saying that the mind should not think of anything else. Ananya Vishaya. Your devotees are non-different from you. So now at one level we see that she is praying to Krishna to cut off the tie of affection from the Pandavas and Vrishnis. But we see that they are actually devotees. So how can then the tie of or the connection, the relationship with the devotees can be cut off? So here Prabhupada explains that Mother Kunti is actually meaning to say that she had two kind of relationships with them. One is that they're all devotees, the Pandavas, Vrishnis, they are devotees. And then she also has a bodily relationship with them. So what she is meaning to say here in this particular verse, in the previous verses, that let the tie of affection on the bodily platform be cut off. So she is praying like that. So because if we cut off the connection with devotees, because devotees are the entourage or the paraphernalia of Krishna, then how can we have a connection with him? So it is very important to have relationship or the connection with devotees. So let my mind have attraction for no one except you and your devotees. I want to cut off the affection which causes bondage. So Prabhupada explains in this purport that just as Ganges is carrying the full stream of water to the ocean, the shelter of all the small, large rivers, may my mind also carry its affection to you, O Krishna, who is the shelter of his devotees. So like that, she is praying to Krishna in this particular verse. So Prabhupada writes that how, basically what is highlighted here in this particular verse is the unalloyed devotion of Mother Kunti. So she is saying that by cutting off or giving up the attraction for material things, that is not sufficient. Prabhupada explains in the purport that somebody may externally give up the affection or attraction for someone, but that is not the highest thing. That is not sufficient in itself. Because we are all living entities, we are part and parcel of Krishna. and we are attracted by something in this world. So if we have attraction for Krishna, then it is considered highest. But if we have attraction for Ananya Vishaya, then that's not something which Mother Kunti is desiring. She only wants her mati to be fixed on Krishna. So Prabhupada kind of condemns here Mayavad philosophy, where it says that the conception of negation, they say that Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya. So like that they propagate their philosophy of Sunyavad, Nirvisheshvad, Naiti Naiti. So all this is, uh, it's just giving up. But our nature is to have something with us. Prabhupada gives a very beautiful example in this one of the lecture that he gave in Los Angeles on this particular verse. So he gives the example, an analogy that suppose one is employed in a firm, somebody is working for some company. So the service is not good. The the person who is working is not very happy with the job or whatever. So then he says, "Let me resign it. Let me give it away." So that person may resign, but if he doesn't have anything better, some better job or anything better to do, then that resignation is not right. That resignation is not appreciated. And he may just become unemployed or unengaged just by resigning. So what is the value of such a resignation? So that's what Prabhupada is highlighting, that there is no point in just giving up things if we do not have something better with us. So she is not asking for mukti, liberation. She is, because the Lord is there in front of her, she could have easily asked for liberation. But she is not asking for liberation, she is asking for constant remembrance of Krishna. Let her mati be fixed. Like that she is asking to Krishna. So, of course, the other points which are highlighted here in this particular verse are that how the variety is the mother of enjoyment. It's just not that we want something else, but it's like we want varieties also. Just like, just imagine if same prasadam is being served every day in the prasadam hall, it will become difficult. So soul is actually looking for varieties, because in spiritual world there are so many varieties. Krishna creates this world for he creates all the jivas, he creates all different rasas and everything just to have a lot of varieties. So the soul likes varieties, Krishna likes varieties. Then how can somebody be happy without varieties? Not possible. So that's what Prabhupada is saying here, that by cutting off or giving up the attraction for material things, that is not sufficient. So this world is false and Brahman is truth. But the fact is, of course, they may quote this philosophy, but the fact is that we are living entities. And we want enjoyment. And enjoyment means varieties. We cannot enjoy without varieties. So Prabhupada gives an example of, in this particular context, he gives the example of a flower case. He says that, look at this flower case. It has so many flowers. Why so many flowers are needed? Why so many flowers are required? Because variety is mother of enjoyment. So the Mayavadis, they spoil the variety. They say that we don't want it, we don't need it. So they spoil the variety. And the fact is, the result is, though they may say like that, but aruya krachena param padam tata patanti adaha. So that is from the 10th canto, that how they fall down again to this material world looking for varieties. They cannot stay in Brahmajyoti for all the time because they need varieties. They also need varieties. So like that, there are many points here in this particular purport which Prabhupada shares. One of the thing is that if we have to have unalloyed devotion for Krishna, then it has to be spontaneous and eternal, which it is, but just we have to understand it and we have to revive it. So devotion is ahetuki and apratihata. So that's what she is asking here in this particular verse. So we have the verse from the canto first where it says, the second chapter, sixth verse, Savai pumsa paro dharmo yatho bhakti adokshaje ahetuki apratihata yayatma suprasiddhati. So we can see from the life of Srila Prabhupada that how he did this. He actually did this, ahetuki apratihata. So in the very fag end of his life, where when he was about to leave this world, we see that how he was translating the Bhaktivedanta purports. And all throughout, even though health was not so good, he was engaged serving Krishna. So through these examples, we can see that what is that spontaneous and eternal ahetuki apratihata bhakti which Mother Kunti is desiring, she is praying for. So material attachment, as he says in this particular verse, Prabhupada writes in the purport, what she wants to give up is the skin relationship. The skin relationship. Prabhupada talks about it in a different lecture, the skin disease. So the skin relationship, the material attachments, they are obstacles to somebody performing bhakti. They are big obstacles. So even the best of the lot can go astray if there are material attachments. And the example, the shining example is of Bharat Maharaj, how he got attached to deer and then he got diverted. So she doesn't want to get diverted. That's why she is saying that I just want to be, my mati, let it be flow like the river to the ocean without any obstacle. So we know when the river is flowing towards the ocean, despite so many obstacles, it still continues to flow towards the ocean. So same way, so many difficulties may come for somebody who's trying to practice bhakti, but what we need to take care is that our mati be fixed on Krishna, despite all those difficulties. So that's what she is praying here. So, yeah, we have to develop higher taste to give up the lower taste, param drastva nivartate. So maybe whatever time is left now, I'll just take a, I was inspired by the morning class. Prabhuji was discussing about the sambandha. So I'll just discuss something in relation to that on this verse. So here, basically we don't have to give up relationship. That's what is seen here in this particular verse. He doesn't want to give up the relationship with Pandavas and Vaishnavis. But what she wants is to kind of spiritualize those relationships. That's what we all have to do also. We may have many relationships in this world, but if we can spiritualize those relationships, then it is considered good, especially among devotees. So how to have cordial relationship with devotees? Just few more verses in that particular context. So, because we are staying in association of devotees, it is very important. Rupa Goswami in Nectar of Instruction, he talks about the very famous verse, Dadati pratigranati guhyamachati prachati bhunkte bhojyate cheva shadvidam priti lakshanam. So he talks about the 6 loving exchanges. How we can actually, of course, Prabhupada gives a purport that even in the Karmi circle, people practice these exchanges. But it is all the more important for devotees living together that they have these loving exchanges. It makes our relationship more spiritual, especially when these discussions are on and around Krishna. So another verse which we see is from the 11th canto, where it is said that Parasparanu kathanam pavanam bhagavat yasha mithoratir mithastustir nivratir mithatmana. So that verse is talking about 4 things. 4 things it is talking about. Purification of heart, enhancement of loving friendship among devotees, mutual happiness and satisfaction, and detachment from sense gratification. So this is what happens when we do parasparanu kathanam. These 4 things happen when we come together and discuss about Krishna. Another verse from Bhagavad Gita which talks about Machitta madgata prana bodhayanta parasparam kathayantasya mam Nityam Tushyanti cha Ramanti cha. So that verse also talks about that what devotees do when they come together. Their thoughts always dwell in me, their lives are fully devoted to me, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss, enlightening each other, discussing about me. So, glorification of Krishna need not and should not be restricted to formal gatherings. Just like we are now discussing, because we have to give presentations, we have to prepare. So, it should not be restricted till here. But even other places also, like other gatherings which we have, regular gatherings, we can actually discuss about Krishna's qualities and pastime in our personal conversation with like-minded devotees. Just like we see the example of gopis and the gopas, how continuously they are talking about Krishna. Day in, day out, they are just discussing about Krishna. So that is what Mother Kunti is actually praying, that Ananya Vishayas, he doesn't want. She only wants her mati to be fixed on Krishna. So sometime it may happen that when devotees meet, they may have some other discussions, but it is essential that we have discussions around Krishna. Because by tasting the qualities of Krishna in association of like-minded devotees, the loving bond is developed, the spiritual relationship, which Mother Kunti is praying for. So she doesn't want the skin relationship with them. She wants the spiritual relationships, the spiritual emotions. And we find many pastimes in Chaitanya Charitamrita also, where Lord Chaitanya himself is engaged in discussing about Krishna on the bank of Godavari at Kubur with Ramananda Rai, and in Tota Gopinath with Gadadhar Pandit. Like that, many places we find many examples of Lord Chaitanya discussing this with many devotees on his travel with Lord Nityananda, Jagadananda, Damodar Mukunda. We hear many pastime. Lord himself is narrating the pastime of many these pastimes, Krishna's pastimes of Sakshi Gopal, Khirchor Gopinath, like that. So when the Prachetas, they were performing tapasya for 10,000 years underwater. So that time, that is a great example that what was appreciated in their tapasya was that they were tusto aham sohardainava. So because they were together, they satisfied the Lord with their mutual friendship, which was centered around Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada explained in that particular verse that real unity is united in Krishna consciousness. So when devotees come together and they discuss about Krishna, so that is actually real unity. As we were seeing yesterday also from Vidura's life, how he is going around and discussing about Krishna. So like this, we see that devotees are always wanting to have something related to Krishna, some discussions related to Krishna, like that. So that is the uniqueness and commonness as we see here in the Pandavas, the Prachetas, and the many examples that we saw now. That how naturally it is very easy to discuss about Krishna when we come together. So discussion about Krishna should not be only restricted to formal gatherings, but on and off whenever we meet other devotees, we can just go on discussing about Krishna. Because by keeping Krishna in center, we have our own unique personalities as such. Every soul is different, every soul is unique. But while respecting others for what they are, we develop relationship based on this particular principle of Matchitta Matgata Prana, Bodhayanta Parasparam. So we come together and discuss about Krishna. So this is a very beautiful verse what Mother Kunti is praying in this particular shloka. So she is addressing Krishna as Madhupati, because the Lord has killed the demon Madhu. And Krishna consciousness is like the river. It is compared here as the river Ganges, which is coming from the Lord himself. So Kunti Devi is praying in this particular verse that the mati let it flow towards Krishna insistently to touch the lotus feet of Krishna. This is called Ananya Bhakti, unalloyed devotion. So this is the verse which says praying for in this particular context. So if we have time, then we can discuss the other part of the purport. I just read just read one paragraph of the purport. So further Prabhupada writes that in the Bhagavad Gita we can see that it was just to satisfy his own personal desire that Arjuna refused to fight with his brothers and relations. But when he heard the message of Lord, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, he changed his decision and served the Lord. And for his doing so, he became a famous devotee of the Lord. For it is declared in all the scriptures that Arjuna attained spiritual perfection by devotional service to the Lord in friendship. The fighting was there, the friendship was there, Arjuna was there, and Krishna was there. But Arjuna became different person by devotional service. Therefore, the prayers of Kunti also indicate the same categorical changes in activities. Srimati Kunti wanted to serve the Lord without diversion, and that was her prayer. This unalloyed devotion is the ultimate goal of life. Our attention is usually diverted to the service of something which is non-godly or not in the program of the Lord. When the program is changed into the service of the Lord, that is to say, when the senses are purified in relationship with the service of the Lord, it is called pure unalloyed devotional service. Srimati Kunti Devi wanted that perfection and prayed for it from the Lord. Her affection for the Pandavas and Vrishnis is not out of range of devotional service because the service of the Lord and the service of the devotee are identical. Sometimes service to the devotee is more valuable than service to the Lord. But here, the affection of Kunti Devi for the Pandavas and the Vrishnis was due to family relation. This type of affection in terms of material relation is the relation of Maya. Because the relations of the body or the mind are due to the influence of the external energy. Relations of the soul established in relationship with the Supreme Soul are factual relations. When Kunti Devi wanted to cut off the family relations, she meant to cut off the relation of the skin. The skin relation is the cause of material bondage, but the relation of the soul is the cause of freedom. This relation of the soul to the soul can be established by the medium of relationship with the Super Soul. So this is what we discussed just now, how the relationship of the soul with the soul can be established by the medium of the Super Soul. When we keep Krishna in the center, then we can have spiritual relationship with each other. Seeing in the darkness is not seeing, but seeing by the light of the sun means to see the sun and everything else which was unseen in the darkness. That is the way of devotional service. So Prabhupada writes a very beautiful purport here, that how the skin relationship has to be given up, and one may have so much affection for family, for nation, for the land where he took birth, but all that has to be given up. All that has to be severed. That's what he is praying in the previous verse. And one's mati has to be directed to Krishna alone. So, yeah. Thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, thank you for a very wonderful class. Prabhuji, you mentioned that we should not think of anything else Ananya Bhakti other than Krishna. But many times we are at default because of our conditionings and our mental attitude, which is not always in a state of stability. We face often our shortcomings and many conditionings. So in this case, how to fix up ourselves, so that we can stabilize and continue our devotional service, and also maintain an attitude where again these temptations come up. How to balance our life, spiritual life? Kindly put your viewpoint on this.
So this is my understanding, maybe others can correct me. So whatever level we may be at, we follow the sadhana bhakti which is given by Srila Prabhupada Acharyas. So difficulties will come, but we carry on with the process. Once we become the way it is described here, the platform of Mother Kunti, then we may be indifferent to it. But as long as we have affection, attachment, material attachments, we may find it difficult. But we still follow the process to come to that platform eventually.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Broji, for the nice class. You covered almost the whole purport and the main points out of it. And I specifically liked this point of where you shared about developing the higher taste. But I couldn't understand how you connected it from higher taste, say, devotees relationship. So I couldn't catch it. So maybe again next time you can ये उसको connectivity मेरे को समझा ही नहीं. So maybe I miss आपने बोला होगा तो पता नहीं. मतलब मैं तो नहीं समझ पाया इसलिए. So thank you. But overall you covered all points, and relationship and this skin disease wala point he cleared very nicely, referring Srila Prabhupada's lectures also. And you connected with the previous verse also, indicating that she didn't want this relationship attachment in terms of bodily terms she wanted to give up. So that was a very nice point. Thank you. Thank you, Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, Panjadata Prabhu, thank you for a good class on this verse. And you did cover many points, talking about this verse and Mother Kunti wanting to give up the material attachments, the skin disease. And you did talk about Aitukiya Pratya Bhakti and how shall Prabhupada perform that. And then there were quite a few points for personal application, especially in terms of how to develop relationships amongst devotees by keeping Krishna in the center. So these were all some very good points in connection to this verse. So some few things which could definitely be added. See, again, some points for everyone's benefit. How do we prepare for a Bhagavatam class? So, and especially in our initial stages, if we're not very conversant with how to prepare for a Bhagavatam class, the best thing is hear others' classes. So did you hear anybody else's class?
Yes, Prabhuji, I heard Prabhupada these two classes.
Prabhupada's two classes you heard?
Some points I took from there.
So Prabhupada speaks a lot in those two classes.
Yes.
So then you didn't take all those points. So you took some points definitely,
yes.
but I mean, Srila Prabhupada speaks so much, no?
Yeah, he speaks a lot.
So you could have taken more points, no?
Yes, Prabhuji.
So you could have taken more points. Srila Prabhupada in his lectures, he usually speaks so many points for preaching application. You did cover Brahma Satya Jaganmati, you spoke about that. And of course, Prabhupada speaks a lot of points for personal application and so many things Prabhupada speaks. So we can take points from others' lectures, and that's how we can prepare our own lectures. And so what to do is like in the morning, if you were seeing Devkinandan Prabhu giving class, so you see how he was taking each word and then he was explaining, and then just like he took that one word shadi and then connected it to karpanya dosha pada swabha. So that was, so like that he was taking each word and then giving references from other places. So that's how we usually prepare for classes. Hmm. So just like here, so we have this ahaituke apratyata bhakti. So which is correct, that is in connection to this verse. So then we can describe those two words. What does ahaituki mean? What does apratyata mean? Uh, if we talk about ahaituki bhakti, you can connect it to Anya Bilashita Shunyam. You can connect it to Lord Kapila's teachings. He's talking about the same thing. In fact, you can very well connect it to Lord Kapila, who's speaking a very similar verse about pure devotional service. Ahituki, avyavahita, very similar. You connect it there. Then you can, if you want, you can connect it to the various types of devotional service. You can talk about mixed devotional service. If you want to speak about apratihata, you can connect it to Chatushloki Bhagavad, where it's mentioned that devotional services, sarvatra, sarvadha, can be performed at any place, any time. And there Srila Prabhupada is giving so many examples. Then you have Shastric examples for who performed this type of devotional service. We have Prahlad Maharaj and so many other examples. So that's how we have to prepare for classes. So we take some parts of the verse or some points from the verse, and then we have to connect it to other shastras, other shastric references, and that's how we expand. So we should learn how to expand things. Practically, we should be able to take one word and expand it by connecting it to other scriptures, other references. So you just mentioned about Srila Prabhupada's performing this type of devotional service, but then again you could expand on that. Srila Prabhupada's relentless efforts in spreading this movement, something more could be spoken. So usually devotees have a problem of lack of time. So we should never feel a lack of words. And devotee means a devotee is always ready to glorify Krishna and his devotees unlimitedly. So there should never be a point where we are feeling a lack of words to express. So this is how we should connect and expand. And then you see from in the purport, this purport also is quite long. There are so many points in the purport itself. Prabhupada is speaking about desire. So then, if you pick up the point of desire, then we could speak so much about desire. We could speak about correct desires, wrong desires, what is the effect of desires. Then Srila Prabhupada so many times is based upon a desire, we get the next body. So like that, just you pick up that one point of desire, so much can be spoken. Right. So that's how we should prepare for our classes. So anyway, things come by practice, but I'm giving you some hints how we can prepare for classes. Okay. So anyways, we appreciate your endeavors to come up with this class. Let your appreciation. Hari Bo. Hare Krishna. Any comments?
Thank you, Prati.
Thank you. Hare. Yes. What's the time? Okay, fine. Okay, you can go ahead. So the more we speak, the more practice. That's the only solution. Now, don't have to be. See, there's so many devotees around. No, this is a formal session, but informally we can speak. Informally we can speak with. That is what he was talking about, Machitta Madgata Prana. So you have some 3 or 4 devotee friends, you practice speaking with them. May not be a formal setting.
Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurulmitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Vrishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namani. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavade Pachadestarni. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Dada Shivasadi Gauravaktananda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna. Stages in path of devotional service from the example Narada Muni. Here in the first canto and fifth chapter of 24th verse, here how the Narada boy became sense controlled. Here it speaks, Te mayi apeta kila chapale arbhake dante adruk kredakane anuvartini chakru krupam yadyapi tulya darshanaha shrushrumane munayo alpabhashini. He says this, though he is a boy and he got this Dante, he was sense control and adrut kredanake. He is not interested in sports. Anuvartina, he is obedient, he became obedient. And he got this because of the mercy of the devotees, these Bhakti Vedantis. Why? They are Tulya Darshanaha. They are equal to all people. And that's why he got this. From here, we can see the translation is, though sages saw everything equally, they showed mercy to me, by which, though a boy developed sense control, gave up child's play and all hesitation, became obedient, and Sushrusha Mane, he served attentively and spoke little. He became Alpabhashinaha. Here there are 4 stages we can see here. By the mercy of the devotees, he got the service to devotee, and then he attentively heard from them. Here, mercy of the devotees, service to devotees' faith, and he took shelter of the Bhakti Vedantis. These 4 stages we can see from this sloka. And then Uchchishta lepānumodito dvijaihi sakrutsma bunje tadapasti kilbishaha evam pravartusya visuddha chetasa taddharma evatma ruchir prajayate. Uchchishta lepa, he took the Uchchishta of the Bhakti Vedantis by their Anumodita, by their Dvijaihi, by the permission of these Brahmanas. Sakrut asmi bunje, once I ate, and tad apasta kilbishai. Because of that apasta, the unwanted things this got eliminated. Evam pravrutasya visuddha chetasa. My mind became visuddha. It became, the mind became cleansed. Taddharme evatma ruchi prajayate. Thus, I developed a ruchi. I developed a ruchi in the mind. One time, only I happened to eat their food remnants with their permission. All obstacles to bhakti disappeared by that. Having developed an inclination for bhakti, being pure in mind, taste for devotional process inevitably developed in my mind. Here, he got spruha, the desire to worship them, and he got devotional service. He got devotional service, bhakti, And then obstacles in bhakti are disappeared. That is anartha nivritti happened. And then nishta. Nishta means he got so much taste for hearing, nishta. And then in the sloka itself it says ruchi. He developed ruchi. Here we can see the five stages we can see in this sloka. He developed five, previously 4 and here 5, total 9 stages he achieved. तत्रान्वहं कृष्णकथा प्रगायताम् अनुग्रहेण अशृण्वन् मनोहराः ताश्रद्धया मे अनुपदं विष्णुवतः प्रियस्वङ्गा मम अवद् रुचिः तत्र अनु अहं. Then every day aham, I Krishna Katha Pragayata. I was hearing the Krishna Katha constantly. Pragayata. I was hearing the Krishna Katha constantly. Anugrahena Ashtunvan. Giving oral reception to the Krishna Katha. Manoharaha. He developed attraction to the hearing. Attachment to the hearing. Ta Shraddhaya, with faith. Me anupadam, constantly Vishnunota. I was hearing the Krishna Katha. Priyasva, of whom Priyasva means Vishnu or Vasudev. Vasyo Katha. O Anga, O Vyasadev, I was hearing the Krishna Katha about the Vasudev. By that what happened? I developed Ruchi. Here, previous sloka also Ruchi has come. And here also Ruchi comes. Here the Ruchi means Rati. Here already he developed Ruchi. Now this Ruchi is Rati. And he was constantly attachment. He got Asakti to hearing. He developed Asakti and Rati. And Rati is the 11th stage. Tasmin tada labda rucher mahamate Priyasravasya skalita matir mama yehametat sadasat mayaya pasye mahi brahmani kalpitam pare. Having attained an excellent taste for the Lord, my intelligence did not waver from Lord. By my intelligence, I directly experienced that my gross and subtle bodies created by the Lord's material energy were fixed only in the Supreme Lord. He got direct experience. Here in next 28th verse, Hittam sharat pravrushikavriti hare Vishnunvato me anusvam yasho amalam Sankirtamanam munibir mahatmabhir bhakti pravrutatma rajastamopaha. Itam, like this. Sharat in autumn and Aurusha in the rainy season. Vritti in these 2 seasons he Harer Vishnuvate. He was hearing the, in autumn and rainy season he was hearing the Krishna Katha. And Anusvaha, constantly. Here he was hearing constantly. By that what happened? He developed Yasha Amalaha. Sankirtamana Munibir Atmabir Bhakti Pravrittatma. He developed Bhakti. In this way, for 2 seasons of monsoon and autumn, I constantly heard the pure glories of Lord chanted by generous sages. I then developed Prema, which destroys Rajas and Tamas in the Jivas. Here Bhakti, Pravrittatma, Rajas, Tamo, Tama, Upaha. This Rajas and Tamas, he got, these things were eliminated from the heart of this Narada Muni. And he developed Prema. Here, up to 12th stage he achieved. And next 13th and 14th. 13th is Darshanam and Harer Anubhava. That will happen in the next chapter of this sixth chapter. This the 13th and 14th stage he can get that vision, direct vision of the Lord. and he can get the Harer Madhur Bhava. Here, even in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu also, same stage, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, there it mentions 9 stages. Ado Shraddha Tada Sadhu Sango Atha Bhajana Kriyaha Tato Anartha Nivritti Syat Tato Nishta Ruchis Tataha Ata Shakti Tato Bhava Tata Prema Bhu Danaschati Sadhakanam Ayam Premnaha Pradurbhave Bhavat Kramaha. Here it is. Here it started with Shraddha, but whereas there it starts with Mahat Seva by the mercy, Satam Kripa. And in intermittent, in between stages, he didn't mention here in this. Here, we can see Prabhupada in the purport says that whatever knowledge, whatever skill sets that one has, that should be engaged in the service of the Lord. When one engages, he develops devotional service toward the Lord. Either one may be knowledgeable, he should use that knowledge in the spreading Krishna consciousness. Whether if he has a wealth, he should use in the taking care of the temples. And all skills can be engaged in the service of the devotees and the Lord. And pure devotion is like infectious, it is a contagious. As soon as one comes with a pure devotee, he also gets affected by that disease. And who is a pure devotee? Pure devotee is freed from all kinds of sins. Similarly, Bhakti Vedantis were pure devotees. Because of their purity, the Narada Bhai also got transformed. And once all sins, if sins are eliminated, then one can develop attraction. One can become attracted to Krishna Kanta, and he will remain in steadiness. And whatever stages we have mentioned, this happens by association of pure devotees. And Bhagavatas, Prabhupada also says that Bhagavatas, one is book Bhagavat and person Bhagavat. By being in the association, one can achieve all these stages. And Prabhupada also mentions that men are, where they are naturally apt to hear. They are eager to hear. But when one hears about mundane narrations, he will be affected by material modes. But when one hears about Krishna Katha, he will get cleared from this rajas and tamas. That is the effect of hearing mundane things and Krishna Katha. The Krishna Katha, that is glories and pastimes of the Lord. And here, Prabhupada also says that if a person is so potent, I'll just read the same verse, same line. The flow of devotional service is so potent that an onlooker also become liberated from the influence of modes of passion and ignorance. By the just sight of a pure devotee, we will get liberated when one gets darshan of a pure devotee. And okay, these are the one can progress in bhakti, in devotional, on the path of devotional service. But there are also obstacles. What are the obstacles? Woman and wealth are the obstacles. And a sadhaka should be very careful with woman and wealth. Prabhupada also mentions that even a stalwart devotee also fall victim to woman and wealth. And even in the stages of bhakti, the anarthas, bhaktotta anartha, when one progress in Krishna consciousness also, bhakti also become an obstacle. And when one progress or advance in Krishna consciousness or in bhakti, name, fame, all this comes. These are the seeds, these are the weeds. We should be very careful, and we should not entertain weeds to grow, and we should be firmly fixed in right path. These are the obstacles that a sadhaka undergoes when while practicing bhakti. And even Srila Prabhupada also, he quoted these slokas even in these prayers, Boro Krupa Koila Krishna. And Prabhupada is the perfect person where he transformed many people. And here, Prabhupada, one of the translation I just read, most of the population is covered by the material modes of ignorance and passion, absorbed in material life. They think themselves very happy and satisfied, and therefore they have no taste for transcendental messages of Vasudeva. I do not know how they will be able to understand it. And when he went to America, many people are fallen, and how Prabhupada gradually from that degraded stage, he made them elevated, and gradually they started taking to bhakti, and they gradually progressing in the Krishna consciousness. Okay. Even devotees are like touchstone. Just by their by the, like I was giving infectious, they are contagious. Just like when a devotee, pure devotee come in touch with any conditioned soul, he will get transformed. And we can see in the case of Mrigari also. Mrigari is so fallen, and he was killing the animals. And when Narada Muni, when he came in touch with Mrigari, he was completely transformed. And he didn't want to kill even small ants. And he was showing compassion even to the ants. That's how devotees are compared to a touchstone, or they can transform the conditioned souls by their presence. And we should also, in our way, we should also progress. At least we should, devotee has to endeavor to advance in Krishna consciousness. And then if one progress, then based on their advancement, the other people also get benefited by the association of such devotee. Okay. Even in Srimad Bhagavatam also, there is one sloka. In Bhagavad Gita, we can see there is a sloka. Tesham evanu kampartam aham ajnanajam tamaha nashayami atma bhavasto jnana deepena bhasvataha. Here Krishna says, to show them special mercy, I dwell in their hearts, destroy them with the shining lamp of knowledge, the darkness born of ignorance. And here Krishna is compared to a sun. When Krishna is there, darkness will not be there. Similarly, when one come in touch with a pure devotee, pure devotee is compared to a light, and ignorance will be completely destroyed in the presence of a pure devotee. And even here also sloka is there. This is very simple sloka. Yad kirtanam, yad smaranam, yad ikshanam, yad vandanam, yashravanam, yadaharanam, lokasya sadyo vidunoti kalmasham, tasmai subhadra shravase namo namaha. Like by kirtan, by remembering about the Lord, by doing Krishna kirtan, smaranam, by remembering, ikshanam, by worshipping, vandanam, by paying obeisances, by hearing, yad shravanam, yad Ikshanam is audience, Arhanam is worship. And by doing that, at once cleanses the effects of all sins of the performer. By doing this, the all effects of all sins are cleansed by effects will be cleansed in the performer. Okay, here already this second chapter Sushrushra Shraddha in this, there are 4 stages. Satankripa in this verse. Sushrushra Shraddha Dhanasya Vasudeva Kataruchi Shanmaha Sevaya Vipra Punyatirtha Nishevanat. Satankripa, here Satankripa is there. And Sushushra Shraddha Dhanasya Vasudeva Kataruchi Shan Mahat Sevaya. This Mahat Seva means service to devotee. This second stage. And then Punyatir, then Shraddha Dhanasya, he'll get a faith developed by serving devotees. This third stage. And he Tirtha, Punya Tirtha, this Guru Padashraya, he'll get. And next is Srunvatan Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hrudayantasto Iha Bhadrani Vidunoti Srut Satam. Here, such a devotee, he'll get eagerness to hear, eagerness to worship or eagerness to hear. He'll get bhajana spruha, this 5th stage. And Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Then Bhaktir Bhavati, Bhakti, loving devotional service, Bhakti develops. And then Anartha, here is Nityam, by regularly hearing, what happened? Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki, Bhagavad Nasta Prayeshu Abhadreshu, almost anarthas are removed in this. Still, anartha, after anartha nivritti also, there are certain anarthas remains, even after anartha nivritti stage. Still, when one progress in Nishta, Asakti, there's still some traces of anartha will remain in that stage also. Here in this anartha nivritti happens, and Naishtiki, he will, because loving service developed unto the Uttama Sloka, unto the Supreme Lord, here he will be in Naishtiki. Steadiness is developed in the Tada Rajas Tamo Bhava Kama Lobhada Chaye Yetayer Anavidham Stitam Satve Prasidati. And then Tada Rajas Tamo Bhava Kama Lobhada Chaye. Then effect of lower modes are gradually reduces. Then lust, hankering, these are also get disappear. And then once these are disappeared, then he develops a ruchi, he develops a taste. Heart is no longer pierced by sense object. When all these anarthas are removed, his heart is not disturbed by other sense objects. And then mind is unaffected. Here is anaviddham. Anaviddham means unaffected. Cheta yete anaviddham. He is not affected by, he is not unaffected by unwanted things, and he completely becomes happy. That is, firm attachment is developed, that is asakti is developed. Evam prasanna manaso bhagavad bhaktir yogataha bhagavad tattva vijnanam mokta sangasya jahayate. And then once evam prasanna manaso, mind becomes enlivened, and then is rati, fondness is rati is developed. And then by engaging or in contact with devotional service of the Lord, Bhagavad Bhakti Yogataha, the devotional love, that is prema, is developed. These are the stages that from these slokas we have discussed. There is no particular, this particular anartha, traces that, just like there is a, the example gives some, means almost are reduced, but still some traces, just like whatever anarthas that are there, that almost develops. Prabhupada gives anartha nivritti, after Anartha Nivurti, all unwanted things destroyed. But still, there are lust. There we have that lusty things. That little bit will be there. The traces, little traces will remain. Almost anartha will get reduced, and but some traces of anartha will remain, continue.
Ji, the stages and everything you nicely explained, but if it is in PPT, that would be better, so that like connecting, like one after another is missing. Somehow it becomes difficult when just here, and but PPT would be better, I felt. This stages of devotional service connecting, that is very nice.
Hare Krishna. So Ramgandru, we appreciate your endeavors to come up with this presentation on the stages, and definitely you prepared this time. So you nicely connected the verses with the stages, both from the second chapter as well as from the fifth chapter, and you tried to explain them. And there were some good points for personal application, like association, removing the weeds. So these are some points which can be elaborated. Hmm? So Srila Prabhupada is speaking about Nityam Bhagavad Sevaya, serving the book Bhagavad, serving the person Bhagavad, how to serve. So these are points which can be elaborated for personal application. Hmm? How to take that association. You did speak something about Srila Prabhupada's prayers and his preaching. So you had some points. There may be some points for preaching application could be included. So anyway, so it was, you definitely had a good flow of these verses with the appropriate stages. You tried to bring out all these various stages. And as Nalikant Prus rightly said, that a PPT would help us to understand better. But we appreciate your endeavors to come with this presentation. Let's show appreciation to Ramgandh Prabhu. Haribo. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Samved Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna. Okay, fine. So who's presenting tomorrow? Sadhu. So your topic is Beauty of the Supreme Lord from the first three cantos only. Okay, and then Krishna Govind Prabhu. So that's next, and then I don't know about Sundaram Thakur Prabhu, whether he's coming or no. Yes, I don't know. But anyway, it's mentioned here that if he does not present, then Ram Govind Prabhu is going to present on the Srimad Bhagavatam verse. Yes? Okay, good. And then Gopalan Prabhu, you presented? And then this Radha Ras Bihari Prabhu. And then what is? Okay, fine. Hare Krishna.